Is your business protected against the threat of malicious litigation and frivolous lawsuits? Are you sinking company profits into marketing campaigns that do nothing to contribute to the growth of your business? Bottled Business Sense provides practical business perspectives that uniquely emphasize both legal and media marketing strategies to protect and ensure the longevity of your business. Now, whether you're trying to provide a startup business with some level of stability or an established business with foolproof asset and estate protection, or simply attempting to get a better return for your business marketing dollars, Bill Bernard and Rick Moscoso will expose potential pitfalls to ensure the security and growth of your business, free from unwanted expense and the threat of litigation. You'll learn how to implement marketing and protection tools equal to those used by today's most successful corporations. Let's join Bill and Rick for today's Bottled Business Sense show.
Well, good day, everybody. Great to be here with you again for another version of the Bottle Business Sense show. I am Bill Bernard, one of your hosts, and I'm here with Rick Moscoso, my co-host. How are you, Rick?
I'm doing great today, Bill. I'm excited to share with the world the basic tools of internet marketing.
Yes, we got a great topic for you today. We're going to go into a lot of stuff. I think what we're trying to do today, Rick, is break down the basics for an individual who is probably saying to themselves, gee, how do I get started and what do I do in terms of the most simplistic or straightforward video marketing? I can always take that to another level at some point, but what do I do initially and how do I go about doing it? What equipment do I need? That sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, that's a question that I get most frequently because people know that the importance of building their brand, building their personality, building their credibility, and growing their customer base is really getting themselves out there in front of the customer. And that could be as simple as just creating a video or video marketing educational videos so people can see your brand, experience it, and then make a determination, hey, this guy looks credible and trustworthy, and I think I want to do business with this guy.
Is it as simple, Rick, as saying, I need to find a way to combine verbal and audio, audio and video communication together in an effective manner?
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing how to do it with the right tools is really the key. You can't just set up a VCR. Oh my God! Set up a video camera and speak 10 feet away from it and expect it to look good if you don't know what you're doing.
Well,
right.
Let's stay away from the VCR and let's talk about what today's world. What are some of the basic tools of internet marketing?
Well, most of us that have a computer, we have a very simple device that's built into our laptop, built into a computer, and that's a webcam, right?
Right.
You could also use your video camera if you have one of those. You could use a DSLR camera if you come from a photography background and has the capability of doing video. You could even use your iPhone, as long as you know what you're doing.
Well, you mentioned something, Rick. I want to ask you though about how good are these webcams nowadays that are built into the computer when you buy them? Is it a question of there's different quality levels of webcams in a particular computer, or are they all just basically the same level?
Most of the newer computers are pretty good. I'm an Apple guy, and I know the built-in iSight camera that's on the laptops are actually pretty good. On this big desktop we have here, this is several years old, but it's not bad. But there are better devices out there that you can integrate into to get the best type of resolution.
And that's what you'd recommend for somebody, the devices that are separate from the cameras inside the computers.
Yeah, absolutely. I found from experience that in order to produce a really good video quality presentation, while you can do it with the native camera that's built into your laptop or computer, I found that just by a small upgrade to a high-resolution webcam, we happen to use the Logitech C920. All right, it's a high-def camera that was actually made specifically for high-def broadcasts on Skype. All right, and so one of the first things that I noticed when I started using it on Skype is that it made a world of difference, video quality-wise, on both ends. On the recipient's ends when I was using this type of camera. And so, in fact, here in the studio, we didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on buying new equipment, right, to make this look really good. And so we have the tools here already that we use that I have experience with, and our 2 isolation cameras that we're shooting with are done with the Logitech C920, right?
Well, let me ask you, okay, somebody says, gee, I want to go buy this particular camera. I've heard Rick's recommendations. When you recommend a camera or a device to begin this video marketing challenge, if you will, do you assume, or is there an assumption by the purchaser that the audio pickup from these cameras are going to be at the same level as the video that you need to have it at to get started?
Oh, well, that's a whole different can of worms. I'll talk about that in the second segment, because
okay, so that is a separate category.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of different ways that you can do it that are really inexpensive, all the way if you really want to go pro. Sorry, I mean not GoPro, but Go Professional.
Right. Go Professional. That's right.
Yeah,
that's
right. Not the camera. Then there's different ways from an audio standpoint that you can really boost the quality of your production.
Well, we'll get into that then in a few minutes. But let me ask you this: you said something earlier that I caught my ear. What would be? I mean, what would somebody really want to consider today using an iPhone for the video?
Well, that's a good question. And, iPhone technology, I can say from the iPhone 4, definitely the iPhone 5, video quality on those 2 devices have really made leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a wonderful job integrating some pretty high-res capabilities on that. In fact, the overhead camera that we have up here is being shot from my iPhone 5. I integrated a very inexpensive app from the App Store for $5 called Filmic Pro that does all the camera controls like a DSLR camera would do, and it works great as a third camera for us here in the show. In fact, when I do educational videos, if I'm outside or even inside, and if I'm walking around a property or whatever it happens to be, all you really need is a tripod that keeps it steady, right, and a decent mic, and you can do any type of video production direct to camera. You're speaking directly to the audience in the camera with an iPhone, if you know what you're doing.
But I mean, for somebody, we're doing this. We have the studio set here that is maybe a little more intricate than what the average person at home might be doing. Would your recommendation be to choose between one of these types of cameras and all is good with the world, or are you saying if you're doing this by yourself and all you're doing is home videos for your sites or YouTube or whatever, you would choose the Logitech over the iPhone, or does it matter?
No, it really doesn't matter. I would start, before you make any type of investment, start with what you have. Right, and see how that works for you. If you have a detachable high-res webcam, okay, that has HD quality, you really have to look at the quality that it produces online to see if it's really the quality that you expect it to be, or not so much that you expect it to be, but your viewers expect it to be, right? And so whether it's a Logitech C920 or an iPhone 4 or 5, start with that and do some test videos and see how that looks like. Upload it to your own YouTube channel, and start with that. Start with that before you invest into anything expensive. And
along the way, folks, if you need questions answered, Rick's the guy to call. They can get a hold of us, I guess, at our website, Rick, right, which is bottlebusinesssenseshow.com. Also at bottlebusinesssenseshow@gmail.com, right?
Correct.
And your number where they can get a hold of you is where?
You can get a hold of me at 949-667-1182 or via email at rick@r2visualstudios.com. And
Rick has taken the time, trouble, and effort to put together sites for this show on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Facebook, and the easiest way to find us there is just to go to those mediums and just type in Bottle Business and Show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's get back to the program. I think we were going to discuss some audio tie-in here now, because once we have the camera, did you have something you wanted to add about the camera?
let me add one more thing, because here's
sure.
another thing that even some of us might already have, and it could be as simple as this GoPro. All right. This is a really good device if you're on the go. I've seen real estate agents do these in the car, where they're actually taping and talking and driving at the same time, which I don't know is totally safe. But but really, the whole trick, if you're going to use a GoPro like this, is that you have it stabilized somehow. It could be a suction cup device if you're doing it in a car, or on a tripod. Stability is really key. No one hates more than watching a shaky video.
But how do you direct that, Rick? In other words, if you're driving and you want to film something, well, I would imagine if you're filming just something outside the car as you're driving, that would be pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. But you're talking about being at some location and using this? Yeah,
you could. Again, if you have this. You really need some sort of stable base, like a
what would it be hooked up to?
Well, this would, if you go to the GoPro website, there are different attachments that you can have on this camera case. It could be a tripod mount. It could be a suction cup where you could put it on actually a piece of glass or something really smooth, and it would sit there. If you don't have a viewing back on here with a TV, you really don't know what you're shooting, so it's kind of aim in the general direction of where you are, and then starting to record.
But give our viewers, if you would, because I'm very curious about this, give our viewers an example of how that would be utilized. Give me a scenario where you'd be using that in addition to whatever other devices that you may have brought with you.
I did a personal branding video several months ago, and I used both a GoPro and an iPhone because I wanted to see which one looked better, right? Okay. And I found that they both did a great job from a visual standpoint. The key was that when I was using ambient light indoors, that the iPhone 5 was actually a little bit better. The GoPro does really good outside, or if you have bright light situation, or for instance in the studio here we have studio lights that illuminate us pretty well. This would work really well. Okay. But it's not the best low light camera.
Okay, so you need a lot of light for something like that.
Yeah, so if you're outside or if you have to use it in a pinch inside, then this is good. But if you're outside, this is a great way to do it. I mean, you've probably even seen self-made videos where the GoPro's actually mounted on a stick, right, and it's held by the person that's filming.
There you go.
And you can do a kind of walk-around type of thing. Yeah. So if that's the look you're looking for, these days that's acceptable with a GoPro because the GoPro has already inherently a built-in first-person type of view, and people know right away that that's a GoPro. So
would this be used by somebody, one of our viewers, for example, who might want to pan their business setting, the office maybe, and use this in order to to pan, give people an idea of what the office looks like? And,
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. You can use it for that. Again, it would be very important to have it on a stable base like a tripod, so when you do pan, it's nice and smooth.
I got you.
Right.
So let's recap a little bit. We've got the different types of cameras that we've talked about, from the Logitech to the GoPro to the iPhone, that all can be utilized by the individual consumer, the individual business owner, for very little expense, I would take it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like I said, if you already have one or two of these devices, test them out yourself, see which one works the best. The most important thing is if you're shooting indoors with this is to have some kind of lighting. That's typically something that I see lacking in a lot of homemade video productions, even if it's a tutorial type of production. Also, the location of where you have the actual camera. You've all seen videos done on a laptop that's sitting way lower than your eye level, and you typically have to tilt the hood up,
right?
And then you end up seeing the ceiling, right? Or you're looking up the guy's nose. I mean, those are little pet peeves of mine, but it could be simply solved by just putting a box underneath the laptop and getting that camera, to eye level.
Simple, some common sense solutions.
Yeah, just simple things like that, and that will help the quality of your video production.
Okay, big issue, because I've run into this myself when I'm doing some homemade videos, some teaching videos. What happens? How do you know when you're sitting in your office, wherever it might be, and you've got your webcam up, and you're doing a little maybe a 2-3 minute video for YouTube, whatever? How do you find out if you've got the correct lighting so it's going to look somewhat decent?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the only way you'll really know is really to just tape a 1 minute segment,
okay,
and then just play it back and see.
Okay, and then just fool with the lighting.
Just fool with the lighting. If you're doing it at your desk and it's typically a bust shot or waist to head shot type of presentation, then it's really important that if you're shooting into like a window over here, that the window is not blurring light, because the sensor is going to pick up that window and your face is going to look dark. Right. So the location of the ambient light source is really important. If you have something as simple as a desk lamp, turn the desk lamp towards your face to help illuminate your face.
That's
great. I've seen a very simple solution to that, where just a simple desk lamp, or you can go to Home Depot and buy one of those clip lamps, right? For $15, and it may look not professional, but who cares? Because they're not going to see it anyway. It's the result on your face that'll help illuminate.
This is all great practical advice. It really is. The thing I love about it saves the consumer money. This is real for the DIY, the do-it-yourself folks who can really take advantage of this information. Before we get into the last segment of our show, we're going to talk a little bit about audio, which obviously is important. Some audio tips. Let's talk a little bit about my company briefly. WFB Legal Consulting Incorporated is located in South Orange County, and we're here to help you incorporate your business, form an LLC for your business, do estate planning for your personal assets, and also to take care of any employment needs that you might have, any employee issues that might come up. You can always reach us at wfblegalconsulting.com or at my phone number, 949 area code 413-6535. That's 413-6535, or 949-698-6222. That's 698-6222. Okay, let's talk about audio, Rick, because I guess it doesn't really matter how wonderful the video is unless we have the audio with it, and those two things are going to establish, I would assume, the business owner's credibility. What's the first thing our viewers, our listeners as well, what's the first thing they're going to want to do if they're doing some of this homemade video and audio?
The first thing that you want to do if you're doing any type of video production, whether it's a YouTube video all the way up to a full-blown production, is to get the sound recording device off of the camera. In other words,
what does that mean?
Yeah, in other words, you remember in the days when you're actually shooting with a video camera, and the video camera is placed 10 to 15 feet away from the talent or from the person that they're recording. Well, you can tell when you're using that technique because the sound is really faint. It sounds tinny. It just doesn't sound very good. And there's nothing worse than bad sound that'll kill a video. You could knock it out of the park with a great video, with great content, the most important stuff. But if the audio sucks, they're going to tune out in a heartbeat. I mean, it's just, I know this from personal experience, and I know this from most of the experts out there that are doing video productions. That sound is a killer when it comes to doing video.
Well, I know you did several videos for me, and you did it in my office. And how did you determine that? How did you know when you had the sound right?
Well, I use.
I don't want to get too technical for our viewers, so you let me know if I'm getting overboard. But is this, in other words, if they're sitting in their office or their home, can they, you mentioned the test run on the video earlier, can they do a test run on the audio, and what can they learn from that?
Yeah. If you're using the resonant mic that's on your laptop or on your computer, you'll notice that there is kind of a tingy type of sound from it. And you really want to get away from that, because remember, as you're talking towards the computer screen, you're actually talking to a hard piece of glass that's reflecting sound all over the place, and that's where that tingy type of sound comes from. And so again, you want to take the sound off the mic or off of the camera, and an easy way to do that, really the most inexpensive way to do that, is to get a lavalier mic like this. Okay. It's a lav mic that you plug into your computer, that will put the sound now on you.
It clips to your shirt.
And clips to your shirt, and it's off the computer now. And I tell you, it'll improve your audio tenfold, because it's right here. And you get that rich, deep resonance that you would kind of like you hear on a radio announcer type of voice, because it's resonating against your chest. And regardless if you're turning side to side, it's always on you. Whereas the mic on a computer won't do that. So this is one of the techniques. You can get this for really cheap at Radio Shack for less than $20.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, when you think about the cameras we've been speaking about, and and now the microphone, we're not talking about a real great expense to improve your marketing techniques tenfold, are we?
Right. Yeah. Just those simple tips of using what you have, having the right position, having the right lighting, and a simple mic like this tethered to the camera will greatly increase the quality of your video production.
Now, what about like some of the stuff we have here in front of us? My microphone, your microphone. How does that change things, and is that something that a DIY person, if you will, would be interested in, Rick, or is this more for a setting of somebody who's really experienced in the area?
No, not necessarily. We have a 2-mic setup here where Bill's on a NTG2 Rode mic. I'm on a Yeti Pro mic here, and both signals are fed into a mixer board that's sitting behind me, and into a recording device here on the desk. So I can mix the levels of each of us. Now, this is way beyond what an average user would use. So you could, if you wanted to up your production a little bit, you can go from a tethered mic like this to a wireless mic system if you're doing a lot of roving.
Okay, now what would be the difference between the tethered and the wireless?
Well, the wireless gives you the ability not to be tethered to the camera.
I see.
If that's, but of course that's a little bit more expensive and for higher end productions.
But even if you went with the wireless, what are we talking about in price?
The wireless system can range anywhere from a really cheap one, like a UHF type of system, from anywhere from like $125 to $600. I mean, they can get pretty pricey. But what I would recommend to people, if you want to up your game from a lavalier mic, and you do a fair amount of broadcasting at home, video creation or stuff like that, you could do it with and I think, Bill, you use this, you could do it with a Logitech mic that's over the ear.
Right, and kind of like a headset.
Yeah, like a headset mic. Now, for some people that, if you don't mind that look and you have that headset on, then that's fine. It's kind of personal preference. But if you want something that's more inconspicuous, then the lav mic would work, or a mic like this. This is a little bit more expensive. I'll get into this in a second. This is a USB mic that's hooked directly into the computer via a USB connector. It gives that warm radio announcer type of voice. That one happens to be the Samson CO1U, and it connects right into the computer. Gives that nice warm voice. This one here that I have is a Yeti Pro, which has the USB connector if I want to do that to my laptop, but it also has an XLR connection that'll give me more latitude in sound leveling and mixing and that sort of thing. In fact, like we have here, we have 2 XLR type of mics that I can mix on a board and then put it into a recording device. I could not do that with the USB mic because that goes directly into the computer and digitizes. So, this is probably beyond most people, but I would say this.
Let's take the the initial cameras that we spoke about and some of these more beginner type audio equipment. What are we talking about for our viewers in terms of their investment in this?
Well, most of us have some kind of really high resolution mobile device, right? Whether it's an iPhone or an Android or something like that.
Right.
This even here is a Nexus 7 that has a nice camera on it. You just need a tripod that holds it something steady, if you want to go with what you already have. And then just go out to Radio Shack or some audio store and get some kind of tethered lavalier mic, and connect it to the source, and then tether it here to your piece of clothing. And the beauty behind that, and this is a whole different topic, is what do you do if you have two separate acquisition sources? In other words, you have a camera that's recording, and then you have an audio device that's recording. How do you marry those two together?
Well, see, this is why, when this number one, I mean, the video and the audio marketing together are so important. But this is, I think, where the time comes where people need your expertise and should contact you and really decide which direction they want to go to, because you're very good at being able to tell people, hey, look, I think for what you want to accomplish, again, the interview part, the goal, what do you want to accomplish as a small business owner? This is what I want to do, and I'm satisfied with this. Well, then here's what you need: get a tethered mic, get a camera. You can use your iPhone camera. You can use a Logitech camera, or you want to go a step up higher, depending on what you're going to do and what your audience is. All of those things are going to play into what you're going to recommend, right? Yeah,
absolutely. And what I'll do for our audience out there is, if you come to BottleBusinessSenseShow.com, underneath this video, I'll have not only the download of the audio source file of the show, but I'll also have a downloadable PDF of a Bottle Business Sense Show buyer's guide or reference guide on some of the equipment that we use here.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Some of the things that you can purchase if you don't already have it, from audio equipment to simple cameras and how to use it, different add-ons, and I'm more interested in really good teaching people how to create really good audio and video productions for their website or for their business with very inexpensive tools. And the tools are out there, people just don't know about them.
That's right. They gotta be made aware of them. Well, that's fantastic, Rick. Let's take the remaining minutes we have here in the show to discuss what's happening next week. Next week, we're going to get into a little bit of, we're going to get into actually more than just a little bit. We're going to get into some specific distinctions between various business entities. We've talked a little bit in the past about why it's so important to entice, if you will, or to form a business entity. But now we're going to talk about next week, how do I choose? What entity do I choose? I've decided I do want an entity now. I do want to entice. What entity do I want? How do I choose between them? What are the advantages and disadvantages, the pros and cons?
Give us a little preview on what to expect as far as entities that we're talking about.
Well, we'll be talking about LLCs, referred to as limited liability companies. We'll be talking about professional corporations, which are something that professionals like doctors, lawyers, accountants use. We'll be talking about S corporations, C corporations, and limited partnerships, which do have a lot of advantages over just the general partnership that we referred to in our last show. So I'm looking forward to that, and hoping our viewers will be here aplenty to take advantage of that.
Yeah, that'll be a good show. For the viewers out there that want to submit questions for Bill on our next broadcast, you can send them in to bottlebusinesssenseshow@gmail.com, or hit us up on any of our social media platforms at Bottle Business Sense Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
That'd be great, and please do that, folks. Please do ask specific questions that may apply to your business that you need to know. Rick, a great show today. I really appreciate all your input. I really like the basic DIY notion that we conveyed to our viewers. Hopefully they can get a better sense of how to do the trial and error and find out for themselves if they're going to produce a somewhat reliable product.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm happy to help.
So we'll see you next week. I look forward to it. For everybody out there, take care and have a great week. Hope you're prosperous in your business. And Rick, I'll see you next week.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week.